Rick. Hi, I'm ASANNI ARMON. I'm the founder of For the Gworls, and I'm also the co-founder of Siren. I wanted to do this video today because I wanted to be transparent about where FTG has been at for the last 1.5 years, as far as financially, as far as the work that we've been doing, the work we've not been able to do, etc., etc. I did want to just talk about what's been going on with us because I haven't been like super public about everything that's been going on, simply because I haven't really known how to talk about it. But let's just put it out there, right? So I guess the first thing I want to start with is talking about how FTG has had to slow down over the last year and a half. As you all seen in the media, there's been a lot of terrible things happening around the world. Clearly not just in America, but a lot of really terrible things. And what I think that most people don't understand when it comes to social justice funding, especially around grant makers, large donors, it's a finicky situation. I've had more than a few people verbatim tell me, oh, well, because of what's going on in the media with XYZ, we're no longer funding issues surrounding Black trans people. We're no longer looking at houselessness for Black trans people or affirmative medical care for Black trans people. You know, back in 2020 when things were happening around BLM and things were really picking up, right? The protests were happening. We got a lot of support because the media was focusing on this, and like people were actually talking about the murders of Black trans people. I'm talking about the housing rates and the needs for access to affirmative care. Now that that's no longer at the forefront of the media, people have pulled out. And on top of that, for the donors who are on the smaller scale, right, still equally important, we are all facing a recession. Clearly the recession has been kind of brewing / really in existence for quite a bit. But that's been happening. The larger donors have pulled out, right? And to that end, we've kind of had to contend with what that looks like. Things have not looked as big as they were in 2020. Yet anybody who's a Black trans person knows that houselessness has not shrank. The murders of Black trans people have not shrank. They're just not being talked about anymore. GoFundMes are just not being met anymore, right? And I just want to be transparent about how that has impacted our work too. It hasn't been what it looked like in 2020, 2021, hell, even 2022. To that point, you know, we've had to make some huge adjustments to our team. We've had to lay off the majority of people on our team. At one point, everyone was laid off. We've had to really just kind of hit the ground running, trying to find new donors, trying to find grants that are supporting the work. And again, going back to my first point, so many of them have been saying, like, you know, we really believe that the work is important, but we're not funding that anymore. That's not a funding priority to us anymore. And just to be clear, FTG and the people on our team have unequivocally stood with the people, the oppressed peoples in different countries that have been facing, you know, genocide, etc., etc. And because of that, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all these people who run these things have shadow banned us. And so if you go through our account, you will see posts that you probably have not even seen because the traction that we even get when we talk about the work that we're trying to do, etc., doesn't go nearly as far as it used to. I really want to be super transparent about all that because that's actively impacted the work that we do and what we can do in the last 1.5 years. You have been seeing what we've been working on. One of the initiatives that we kind of started years ago and we've been trying to rev up over the last few years simultaneously is this initiative called Siren, which I co-founded alongside my dear friend Sergio. And this initiative is to really give Black trans artists the resources they need in order to do the work that they do so that we can document the times we're living in and really speak truth to what's happening to us while we are fighting so many different obstacles and really while we are living the lives that we live, right? And so that's been happening concurrently while we've been doing what we can do with the rent support. And then there's also another initiative that I'm not legally allowed to speak about right now that we've been working on, but we will be rolling out information about in the next few months. What I can say is that this initiative is one that is helping us to bring in money that has nothing to do with donations. And this work is not sustainable if it's only relying on donor support. Donor support is important, and I'm always going to be thankful for donor support, but that does not mean that I can sit back and rely on donor support in order to do this work sustainably if I want to be able to continue to do this work. The goal for us is to start back publicly supporting people with rent support by May of 2025. The key word there is we are aiming to do that. And I really want to be intentional about saying that because, again, there are a number of factors at play. We've definitely had some people step up to say they're going to support us in supporting that work now, and so we feel comfortable in being able to do that publicly. We cannot do affirmative care, medical care support at the moment because weighing how many people we can help with affirmative medical care versus how many people we can help with rent care, rent support rather, we can help way more people with rent support. And I think that it just makes more sense to do that at the moment. Now, pending resources, of course, if enough resources come in, we absolutely will resume affirmative medical care, but at the moment we have to prioritize doing the rent support. So to that point, we are doing that. We are going to roll out that initiative that I talked about a bit, and we're going to continue to do the work that we're doing with Siren. So this is why I'm doing this video, because I really want to be super intentional about what's going on here. I'm partially doing this video to ask for more support, right? At the end of the day, I've never run from a fight. I don't think that now is the time to run from Donald Trump. This is not the time to run from Trump and Trump's administration. This is not the time to run from these platforms siding with this administration instead of being on the right side of history. What it is time to do is to stand up and fight and to be strategic. And so we have to focus on how we get off of this platform and are more intentional about building our own platforms, building our own email communications, building our own platforms that we can communicate with people like you who care and support our work, but not on platforms like this where they're trying to quell support for initiatives that don't align with this administration. So I am saying all that to say, we are trying to hire a new grant coordinator. We're trying to hire a new executive assistant. We are trying to pay for our legal fees in order to continue to do this work and really separate these initiatives so they all are their own freestanding thing. And clearly, quite obviously, to continue to do the work that we're doing. Again, now is not the time for us to run, especially with housing that's on the rise, especially with the recession happening, especially with the violence that Black trans people are facing, that trans people are facing in general. Actively at every turn, people are trying to erase the existence of Black trans people. And I don't just mean that in like a, theoretical way. I mean quite literally. People are trying to make it so that Black trans people cannot exist, that they make it seem like we've never existed, that we're some type of figment of imagination, right? And more than ever, we need to step up and we need to fight. I'm not running from Donald Trump. I'm not running from this administration. And I don't think that we need to do that. I think that it's important that we actually stand up, that we actually show that we are here, that we exist, that we quite literally exist, and that we deserve to exist, and we deserve to be housed. We deserve to have affirmative medical care. We deserve to have all the things that everyone in this country and everyone in this world deserves to have. That's going to require us to do a lot of work. We have to hire a legal team in order to be able to protect ourselves and make sure that we are doing all the things that we need to do in order to make sure all of our T's are crossed and all of our I's are dotted. We are going to have an executive team in order to help us to make sure that work is done on a day-to-day basis. I can't do that by myself. Sergio can't do that by themselves. We are going to need a grant coordinator so that we can actually oversee the funds going out to people for the rent fund while we're still doing this work, because I would like it that we could do this work concurrently. And so we need your support. Again, I'm very thankful for anybody who's ever shared a post, ever liked the post, ever commented, ever donated, talked to us, talked about our work. It has platformed our work. It means the world to me. And now more than ever, we have to continue to do that work. We have to do that. We have to rev it up. And so we're also trying to build out our email communication. So you probably have already started receiving emails from us. We're trying to rev that up even more in 2025 because we cannot rely on this platform in order to talk about the work that we're doing. Please continue to join us in this fight, because as you can see, the fight is necessary. Things are getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse by the day. And we cannot sit here and sit idly by and just let an entire community of people be washed away. Thank you.